going to start now. In the hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing to sit on or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. Though it is dated, The Hobbit remains to be a classic story that trumps even the oldest of stories, due to its simplicity, its variety, and the ability of the author to draw the reader into a world that they have never been, with descriptive vocabulary that rivals the best of modern scholars. The Hobbit is a classic tale of the journey of a young hobbit that embarks on a daring adventure by which individuals can reflect on the personal journey of their own lives. I was first introduced to the story of The Hobbit when I was 7. I watched the 1977 animated Hobbit at a friend's house, and though the animation was startling, I was still intrigued. 3 years later, I was in a Barnes & Noble with my family, and I bought my first copy of The Hobbit, and I still have that copy today. I read it annually, and I plan to introduce it to my kids when they are old enough. It is one of my favorite stories. As I talk about The Hobbit, I'm going to talk about 3 points. 1, I'm going to briefly give an overview of the story. 2, I'm going to talk about the character development of the main character. And 3, I will briefly compare the movies of The Hobbit to the books of The Hobbit. So number 1, an overview. From the first chapter to its last, The Hobbit is an enchanting story of adventure and life change. The Hobbit was written by J.R.R. Tolkien. It was originally published in 1937. According to USA Today, it's been translated into more than 50 languages and sold 100 million copies worldwide. The Hobbit was also the first installment of J.R.R. Tolkien's vast series in Middle-earth that was later known as The Lord of the Rings. In the story of The Hobbit, a magic wizard named Gandalf the Grey asks a hobbit named Bilbo Baggins if he would like to go on a dangerous adventure with him. So eventually, Gandalf, Bilbo, and 13 dwarves travel to the Lonely Mountain to reclaim the dwarves' kingdom Erebor from Smaug the dragon, who had stolen it from them. Through the journey, the wizard, the hobbit, and the dwarves encounter dangers like goblin kingdoms and giant spiders and dragon fire. But through grueling battles, tested friendships, and new enemies arising, eventually the dragon Smaug is slain, the dwarves reclaim their kingdom, and Bilbo goes back home as a changed hobbit. So that's a brief overview of The Hobbit. Now I will quickly move and give a brief overview of the development of the main character, Bilbo Baggins himself. At the beginning of the book, Bilbo is in a peaceful place in his life. His desire is to live his life in peace and quiet and not to do anything unexpected or uncomfortable. When Gandalf comes to Bilbo's house and asks Bilbo to go on an adventure, Bilbo says, "Sorry, I don't want any adventures today, thank you, not today." At the beginning of the story, one can see that Bilbo is not one who is ready to be brave on any adventures. However, through the book, Bilbo is tested and forced into situations where he has to be brave. Bilbo is able to outwit mountain trolls. He engages in a battle of riddles with a creature named Gollum and is even able to free the dwarves from the captivity of woodland elves. One of the most notable points of bravery and growth for Bilbo is when he risks his life by opposing his friend, Thorin Oakenshield, who's being driven mad by dwarven gold underneath the mountain. Bilbo's growth is noted at the end of the book by Gandalf as they journey back to Bilbo's house. Gandalf says, "My dear Bilbo, something is the matter with you. You are not the hobbit that you once were." That is the brief overview of the character development of Bilbo. So now we will look at the differences between the books, the Book of the Hobbit, and the movie trilogy itself. Though the book and the movies of The Hobbit have significant differences, they both have a unique way of helping the spectator experience the story of The Hobbit. Some of the notable differences between the book and the movies are the characters and events. There are several characters who do not appear in the book who are in the movies, such as the elven prince Legolas and several other supporting characters and villains. There are also several events that take place in the movies that are not found in the books, mostly battles to make the movies longer and more entertaining for common spectators. However, the movies do have perks of expanding the experience of The Hobbit. For instance, one of those ways is through visuals. As I have read the book throughout the years, I've always imagined the dragon Smaug in a certain way. But through excellent CGI, The smog in the movie is just a jaw-dropping sight to behold. Greater image than I could ever put in my own mind. And so that was a great way to expand the experience. Another way the movies enhance the experience is through the acting. Specifically, I want to talk about Martin Freeman, the actor who plays the main character Bilbo. Martin Freeman takes the character Bilbo to a whole new level with his sarcastic comments and shouts of bravery. Martin Freeman does an amazing job throughout the whole trilogy of bringing the well-loved character Bilbo Baggins to life. There are obvious differences between the books and the movies. However, they both do well to show the beauty and wonder of the adventure that dear Bilbo Baggins embarks on. So that's the 3 main points. Overview of the Hobbit story, look at the character development of Bilbo Baggins, and the difference between the books and the movie trilogy. In conclusion, The Hobbit is a story of personal growth and daring adventure. I would recommend this story to anyone interested in adventure and to make it a regularly visited resident of their personal library or movie collection. Thank you.